Hi everyone, thanks for joining me. I'm so pleased to have you back. In today's video, we're really going to cover the topic of how do you cover redness really well without looking really washed out, and how to do it really well without looking like you're wearing a ton of makeup. We're going to be using two different products and comparing them, then finishing the makeup look off so you can see a full kind of look all done together. Subscribe while you're here, please, thank you. And what do you think of the new hair? Isn't she cute as a freaking fruit? New hair makes you feel like $1 million. Anyway, I'm rambling, let's get to it. Let's go, let's go, let's go. I'm going to be using two different products. Help if I get the front of them so you can see what they are. So I've got the Dr. Jart Tiger Grass Colour Correcting Treatment, and then I've got the Arborian CC Red Correct. The objective of the products are the same: to cancel out any redness. I know I don't have the most red skin, but there is definitely more redness in certain areas. So I just wanted to show you how I get on them with them to create a really nice natural base. So the Dr. Jart comes in a pot, and it's like a, I guess like a thick cream, not necessarily a rich cream, and then this one is a little bit more liquidy. Let me put them side by side on my hand so you can see both of the textures there. The Arborian, the Dr. Jart there. Yeah, so I'll put them side by side so you can see how they both sit and look on the skin. Take me about 5 years to put the lid on. And they do a real mini pot of this as well, which is super handy because a little really goes a long way. Okay, so some initial do's and don'ts. Like, however intense your redness is, or like angry your skin's looking, you don't need it from here to here, okay? General places that redness looks good and natural and flushed is on the cheeks, basically. So this is where you can avoid placing this kind of product, okay? Everywhere else is good, and the key is less is more. So let's start with the Tiger Grass, and both of these begin to, let me just show you my hand. When you blend them in, which I've started to do, can you see both turn into a paler skin tone? So these products work on a lighter skin tone, FYI. So I'm going to do the Dr. Jart on this side and the Arborian on the left, and we're just going to compare. So I'll warm it up a little bit on my hand, the Dr. Jart. Where are my mirrors? Okay, so I start by really looking at where the redness is on my skin. And the real trick to using this is building small layers, because this product isn't just a concealer, it's a colour corrector. So it's going to basically cancel the red tones out in your skin. I find I can get a little bit of red on the brow here. And in the winter and the cold months as well, my nose, the tip of my nose can go really red. So let's zoom in. So you can see instantly it does make you look quite, I'm just doing a small tapping on those, just had some blemishes, but can you see how it's just, especially around here, really dulled that redness down. And it does make you look pale, because it's stripping the colour away from your skin. Where's this bloody mirror? I might actually stay this close while I do the other side. Right, I'm just going to build it up a little bit more. And I find with this, you don't necessarily want to use a brush to apply it, because a brush you might be tempted to go a bit heavy. And with your fingers you can just really pat and press. And you can see I'm using like all three of my fingers to really press and pat it in. But you can see it's done the job. Right, let's use the Arborian now on this side. So this is slightly more greener, but then of course it disappears. And the main difference is texture-wise. I think this has a little bit more luminosity to it. So it's a bit more of a glow. So potentially if you are on the drier side, you might prefer this one. And yes, this one is a little bit more, I mean, it's got a low sheen to it, but if you're on the oilier side, you might prefer this formula. So I'm really just applying it where I've got that slight redder tone in the lip, or you know, maybe if you've had quite an aggressive breakout and it's quite red and angry, or yeah, that's it. See where I've had a little breakout on the tip of my piece. Can you see how it just cancels the redness out? So let's have a good look, comparing the two sides. And don't forget, we'll have to do like the inner nostril, because that can get really red as well. But let's compare the two sides now. So, you know, it looks really skin-like. And the way I want you to really think about approaching this is by painting by numbers, where you see that tone. Once you understand what you're looking for, that's when you can get a really good result that looks really natural, and it just balances your skin. Because obviously if you're using this in places where you don't need it, it's not going to have the best result. It's really good. Right, now let's take it a step further. Let's colour correct around the eye. So this is NARS, the Radiant Creamy Colour Corrector. This is in the shade Light. And this I'm going to apply where I have a little bit of depth that I want to lift the colour, so you can see the tone around the eye. So here was kind of red and whatnot, while here it's kind of a bit more kind of bluey darker. So we want to brighten that. So again, just using, look, I've put far too much and I'm just rubbing the excess on my hand, just sort of dabbing it. And this is the thing, this concealer, like if I used it here, it would look really orange. And that's why you sometimes need to layer something on top. Maybe if I just do concealer on the other side, just so you can see the difference. Can you see how it's just cancelled out that tone around the eye? So it's being really intentional about where you're applying product. Let's just do the Armani concealer on the other side. This is the shade 4.5 in the Luminous Silk Concealer. Same pinpoint application. That's generally where you need concealer, because those 2 points are generally going to meet as you blend them. Now if I'm doing this with a brush, I will be doing a patting motion very much like I am with my finger. Just want to show you, even though it's brightened this side, let me have a look. Oops, just getting a hand mirror. I don't know where my small mirror has gone. So I can see that this one is marginally more, I mean, tell me what you think in the comments, how each of these look to you. So this one still looks good, but the tone in this one absolutely pips it in terms of what it does for the coverage. So let's now layer concealer over the top, because then you've got that double-pronged approach of colour correcting and then concealing to make it really traceless. And then, you know, if you needed to do any pinpoint concealing of any like blemishes, you know, you could just go in and use the point. And this is why I love the doe foot on this, because it's so generous and large. And going back to brushes, if you do use brushes, that's fine. I find I always tend to go in my fingers after, because the warmth in my hand and my fingers will just ensure that product, like enough product is on there, and it will pick up any excess that will potentially sit in kind of creases. And that's what, you know, the whole spiel about, oh, this is the creaseless concealer, like there's steps to definitely help that, but it eventually will move, and all you need to do is pat it with your finger and it's gone and dealt with. But a lot of the time creasing happens because you're using too much product. Let's zoom out. Actually, let's have a close look up again. Look at the skin. So this is Arborium Just Concealer, and this is Dr. Jart Colour Correcting and Concealer all together. So you can see it just elevates, ooh, wrong way. It just elevates everything you're doing. It still looks super natural and it does the job well. It's about applying it. That's why when you go get your makeup done, you know, a makeup artist can take 10-15 minutes to just do your real base alone, to make it look its best, and really they're looking for those nuances within the skin to really correct them. So if we're to layer a foundation on top, I can show you how I do that. So I'm going to go in with the Tilbury one, which I personally am loving, and I think this will be great for a dry to normal skin in particular. It's a nice gel weight kind of texture. It's quite liquidy. This is the shade 4W. I like it a little bit warmer because I find my body's a little bit warmer than my face. You can see there's a bit of tone difference. And this is nice if you like a light coverage that is slightly buildable. And I'm again going to do this with the hands, so I'm mainly going to put this in the centre of the face because I just want to show you how products can really be layered. And this is how I do a lot of makeup on my on set on clients. I'll do a mixture of hands and I'll do a mixture of brushes as well. I find it easier to do fingers on myself because it's your own face and you really get to, and I just generally, as a caveat, I love to touch faces because you get more information. You can really touch the face, you can understand the bone structure a little bit more. But yeah. Right, let's zoom in. So I've done one half. So it's so skin-like. I love the kind of luminosity, the radiance you get from it. And that's the difference between the two. So again, it's an acute difference, but it's just, think of it like dialing up the volume every time. We're just getting that little bit more from the product. We're getting a little bit more from the coverage. Like foundation, I think we sometimes have this notion of foundation like it needs to be a mask that we've pressed our face into, and you see this line here. Like, no, what I almost do is like I stretch the product from this kind of center core part of the face and blend it out, so you've almost got, you know, real skin kind of showing here, and then everything else has that little bit of coverage just where you need it. That is looking really healthy, radiant and flawless. And it's, you know what, it's really nice just to see products side by side. Actually, I should have done the CC cream on this side just to show you the difference on. If that's something you'd like to see, I compare textures of the new Charlotte Tilbury foundation to 3 other formulations. Check out this video because I'll show you the textures. I've not necessarily on my face, but just swatches of them, so you can kind of get your head around what all the textures and finishes and everything does for you and what that looks like. Let's finish this off with a little bit of colour. So this is the Bobbi Brown Pot Rouge for lip and cheek in powder pink. And I think you know I love to apply blush like this. I think I learnt this trick from a makeup artist called Pablo, he used to be at MAC, he used to be a senior artist, that guy. He now is at Ilamasca, one of their like pro artists. So, and what I always found with this technique is that I always personally found blush replacement on different people like really hard, and people like different things. But the main goal of this is to suit the face shape. You can really feel where you're applying it. So when you apply it to yourself, you are going down from the pupil with your eyes looking straight. Then you're working across from the nostril. And I like to smush, I clap my hands together because I'm shearing out the texture. And then I press just like the heel of my hand, like so. And then I begin to go upward. And that just begins to diffuse the product for me. And then you can just use the edge of your fingers just to kind of push and melt everything away. And what's great about this product is that you can also obviously put some on the lips, that really soft kind of painterly look. And I'm going to take a teeny bit and just put them the outer corners kind of the eye, so it's like in the crease of the eye. And what I'm doing is I'm putting my finger in and then I'm rubbing it on the edge of my hand, the pad of my hand, and then just to tie in and give me a little bit of colour, so it's a real monochromatic makeup look. And that's it. And even when it comes to powder, I like to powder really strategically. This is the Hourglass Veil Translucent Setting Powder. It's a really fine milled product, and I've got a little tip for you. Can you see this has got the little sticker on still? But I never remove the sticker fully. I generally will cut it there and I'll leave it half covered so you don't get that annoying mushroom cloud, like, you know what I mean. And then when it comes to powdering, I don't use a big old brush. I'll pick up a little bit of product. If I've picked up too much, I'll kind of pat it in my hand, like so. So the product's almost worked into the brush. I don't want to see that. I don't want to see product on my brush. I buff it into my hand, so almost the powder is like living in the brush. And then what I'm going to do, let me come up nice and close. What I do is I really pat and press it on like so, under the eye. I'm keeping this here because that's beautiful. Just pat and press wherever you want to control a bit of sheen. Good, isn't it? How bloody lovely. And that is it. We are all complete, my friends. We're ready. What did you think? Did you enjoy that? Let me know what you thought. Let me know what other videos you'd like to see. As always, daily content on Instagram. I'm doing a bit more on TikTok, so join me there too. And I'll see you next week. Thank you so much.